As moviegoers, it's up to us to determine what films deserve our time and, more importantly, our money. Every year there's a certain breed of film that releases. A Minecraft movie, The Lion King, the FNAF movies, How to Train Your Dragon 2025, and this year's Super Mario Galaxy movie that attempt to cash in on fan expectations at the expense of quality filmmaking. The primary goal of any film, after all, is always to make money. And since they're basically guaranteed that luxury, the effort used to tell a good story is often gutted for more important things, such as ridiculously massive marketing campaigns, brand deals, and most concerning of all, merchandise. Indeed, it becomes a foregone conclusion that films such as these will gather millions at the box office due to recognition alone, and while not inherently a bad thing per se, often these films reek of laziness. Sadly, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is no different. It suffers immensely from its own hefty script, packed to the brim with references, whilst never elaborating on any idea, really. The characters feel hollow, something even the first film avoids quite easily. And in general, this movie feels like a roller coaster ride, careening towards an empty void, distracting you with its nice visuals in order to prevent you from noticing its lack of depth underneath. To begin, let's acknowledge the positives. The visuals in the film are indeed fantastic. Illumination has a very strong grasp on lighting and environments that feels leagues above what their competition is doing. The film feels incredibly vibrant and energetic, and generally, as a fan of the Mario games, it's exciting to watch these classic locales come to life on the big screen. The animation is expressive, made all the more so by the all-star cast backing the film, though admittedly, no one really has the same level of energy as Jack Black's Bowser, a performance that feels at times tenfold as energetic and excited as the rest of the casts. But the rest do give a solid performance. Brie Larson feels very natural as Rosalina, Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr. is fun, and of course, Donald Glover's Yoshi is delightful, though despite their best attempts, they still can't pull together a cohesive narrative through their performances, as the script bogs down the film immensely. Now for the bad. The movie's script is utter nonsense. The film feels far more interested in stringing vague ideas together and having high-energy set pieces than it ever does in telling a good story. For starters, not a single character has an actual arc. Mario feels sidelined in this film, reduced to a vague romance plot with Peach that leads pretty much nowhere. Luigi gets no arc. Toad has one, but it's extremely immaterial to the plot and kind of gets forgotten about. Peach has somewhat of a plot thread. She wants to know more about her past, and she finds out more. That's pretty much it. There's nothing really gained from this info, and it's talked about in 2 scenes, but there you go. Unfortunately, that leaves Bowser and Bowser Jr., who are saved for last because they possess what is definitely the strangest plot thread in the film. Bowser goes from evil in the first film to kind of good here, back to evil at the end of the film, which feels odd. His arc is bizarrely prevalent in the film, and delves into him trying to get past his evil tendencies to reform and make peace with the Mushroom Kingdom. The problem with this, however, is that the film desperately needs him to be evil in order for things to really make sense, something it awkwardly relapses the character into about halfway through. There could have been a conflict between him and his son, having him challenge his evil tendencies and try to convince Junior to reform alongside him, but no, they just make him evil again. So, if the film isn't really interested in having him evolve as a character, why even try to reform him at all? It's not like there aren't other ways to skirt the issues he solves in the plot, something we'll get into momentarily, and it just ends up feeling like the writers wrote him one way, then changed their minds halfway through and forgot to make it feel natural. Frankly, none of the film's beats feel natural. Bowser Jr. just kind of appears out of thin air, and Bowser's like, I haven't seen him in years, and that's their explanation. The film also does this thing, albeit something the first film is also guilty of, where it basically expects you to know everything about Mario games, and forgoes explanations for many interactions and abilities, like the Lumas being able to transform, for example. But the biggest flaw of the film is how its characters get from point A to point B. There is a bizarre lack of cohesion here. Plot threads get resolved almost immediately, and things sort of just happen to the characters. For instance, Mario and Co. get in trouble with the Bee Queen in the Honey Hive Galaxy, and then, with a single sacrifice from Bowser, they're just free to go. Bowser gets beamed up by his son in the next scene too, so the entire scene winds up feeling incredibly pointless. Or take how Peach is told by a lost Luma about Rosalina's kidnapping, but doesn't explain any details, leading to Peach searching for answers that could have been easily explained if they simply talked for a while. Or take how Bowser Jr. throws the gun that turns Mario and Luigi into babies off of his ship after using it, facilitating a way for them to return to normal. It's bizarre contrivances such as these that make up the bulk of the decisions in this film. and as a result, the movie feels like a first draft, with no sense of cleverness or wit. The film feels so immensely bloated, with references and ideas constantly being thrown in the viewer's face, but paradoxically, because of this, none of its ideas are ever given the space and room to breathe they need. And sure, to some, the set pieces may be enough to justify a ticket to the film. However, the laziness on display becomes so distracting to me, and I'd wager for many moviegoers who want a satisfying film about one of their favorite video game characters. The fans deserve better. Kids deserve better. As another aside, I'd like to spend a moment discussing the marketing of this film as well. If you've seen the trailers and promotions for this movie, you've basically seen the entire thing. There are so few surprises in this film. And while admittedly I did make a video going in depth about the plot and my predictions for it, it's nonetheless disappointing to find that no, there really are no surprises left here for anyone. It is absolutely mind-boggling that they revealed Star Fox's presence in the film a week before the movie released. Why did they do that? Were they so unsure the film would perform well at the box office that they just needed to sneak in one more spoiler? Was it a contractual obligation to promote the character before the film's release? It's just baffling. Incidentally, however, Fox is a nice change of pace for the film. His character is somehow one of the most fun and realized out of the cast, despite showing up out of nowhere, though his presence does set a precedent for a bigger issue that feels inevitable for these movies going forward, that being the cameo slop of it all. Thankfully, this film's references are mostly harmless, though it feels inevitable that future titles will try to have a cinematic universe, something that should be more opposed than it currently seems to be. And while normally Fox's existence in this film would threaten the core identity of this being a Mario film, in practice it feels harmless this time, and oddly refreshing given the lackluster character writing mentioned previously. Without a doubt, movies are becoming more centralized around the need to convince people to make a pilgrimage to the theater. Whereas films of years prior had healthy box office releases, many nowadays rely on existing IP in order to get butts in seats, and lack the character or charm to justify anything beyond that. Disappointingly, it seems the Super Mario films have fallen into this trend as well. And especially with how competent the first film was, it becomes all the more a shame that this film didn't live up to the hype. If you've watched this far, you've probably either seen it or don't care about seeing it, so a verdict feels about as pointless as the film itself. So let's wrap this up. 3 out of 10. Not good.